This has got some new Schwalbe tyres on it. I've not been allowed to look at the sidewall yet. I can see the tread is very different. Don't know what to expect. Gee. Holy it grips so damn well. I don't really know anything about it yet. What's the aim with the project? What were you trying to set out to do with the new Albert?
Yeah, so let's get right into it. Again, we are talking about two different things here. First off, it's our new radial carcass technology, as well as the new Albert tread pattern. So let's first talk about a bit about what radial means.
So over the years, tires have been evolving, whether it's compounds, tread patterns, but construction has largely remained the same. We are now going to be taking a look at a radial constructed tire that is going to offer some pretty drastic and different performances out on the trail. So Sean, obviously you've been here in the studio before, been working for Schwalbe for a long time. Tell us about the next evolution in the tires. What sparked it? What was the catalyst? And what is this tire achieving?
Okay, so as Drew mentioned, I've been with Schwalbe for a long time. I've seen quite a bit of development over the years, and ultimately is how can we get a larger contact patch? And typically you can do that two ways. It's either lowering your air pressure or changing the casing construction. Casing construction has been the same for many years, and so Commissar Muckoff came to us with a challenge a few years back and said, what can we do to the tire to eliminate the need for using an insert? So with that low pressure, obviously, came the potential of ripping tires off or flats, breaking rims, etc. And that's where the insert came in. So we worked with the team over the course of the last 2 years to develop a whole new casing construction. And what we figured out is we looked at Trials motorcycles, and they use a radial construction on the moto tires. And so we went down that path of testing it. And what it does is you reduce the angle that you cut the fabric at for the tire, and that simple change makes the tire a lot more flexible. And with that, the contact patch and basically what connects your bike to the ground increases by 30% at the same pressure.
Wow, okay. So this isn't just a new sidewall, a new rubber compound. This is a completely new way for bicycles to be making and producing tires.
Exactly. All tire construction has typically been the same across the board. We have apex, we have other things that add stiffness to sidewall, but the actual fabric that the casings are built on has been traditionally cut at a 45-degree angle.
Now, obviously, we hear about radial tires in vehicles, right? In cars. Is this the same kind of a radial tire?
It's very similar, but it is not we're calling it radial. It's as close as we can get without altering puncture resistance and things like that in the tire. So it's slightly different, but very similar concept.
Okay. Robert spent a bunch of time at the media camp riding an e-bike, which I have been hearing murmurs of in the bike industry from brands that you guys have been sending these tires to in hopes of getting some spec for next year. And everyone's raving about them. I've only heard about it on the e-bike side. You obviously sent me up to Whistler with these on my DH bike, and the differences that I was able to pick up on instantly, right? I mean, we set out for almost a full day on another set of Schwalbe tires, swapped over to the radials, and it was pretty instant. The difference in terms of, I guess, vertical compliance and absorption, traction, and the other big thing that was kind of shocking was the sound of the tires is very different. It's a lot quieter, more thuddy. And I think that also inspired confidence, because it doesn't sound like your tires are working as hard if they're just eating everything up. Braking traction was phenomenal. So I think that probably goes to the testament of contact patch.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little more about what that achieves for the rider?
For sure. So with the increase in contact patch, that increases, one, the number of lugs that are contacting the ground. It's also increasing the amount of rubber. Sometimes the amount of rubber touching a root or a rock is as small as a dime. So if you can increase that by 30%, obviously there's a lot more grip there. The other cool thing about the radial casing is you can actually, if we increase the radial casing, say from your normal pressure up to half a bar or 7 psi, you still have a 10% larger contact patch. So you're still getting all that grip, but you can increase your actual air pressure, eliminating the need to put an insert in to run that low pressure that you might be running today. And so that eliminates a couple 100 grams per wheel. It protects your rims, but also offers better performance in that contact patch. So it gives you more adjustability in your actual tire pressure. So you can tune your tire pressure rather than having to deal with your suspension or putting inserts and other things in.
Can you talk about all the different tires that will be available and kind of their ideal terrain set?
The tire that Drew tested up in Whistler is our new Albert. This is a tread pattern that's very evenly spread out. It's optimized for and developed with the radial casing. And so with that increase in contact patch, we're able to develop a tread pattern specific to that. The Magic Mary, which is our top selling gravity tire, has been for years. It's well known. It's under World Cup racers for years. Will also be available in the radial casing. That has a little bit more open, we'll get more penetration in softer conditions, where the Albert will be more of a hard pack and or like really rocky terrain. And then the Magic Mary will be the looser, loamier terrain option. And then we also have a somewhat experimental tread pattern called the Shredda, which is extremely aggressive. The knobs are taller than what comes on the Dirty Dan, but they're more supported as well. That was developed specifically with a reference to e-bikes and uphill climbing on e-bikes to see what's capable.
Oh wow, okay.
So,
and that's gonna be, I guess, more of a rear specific tire, you think, or will that be a front rear?
That'll be a front and rear.
Okay.
It's more of experimental to get everyone's feedback and understand where it's at, but thus far feedback's been great on it.
Cut over to Robert, who was at the Schwalbe Media Camp, and get to learn from some of your German counterparts all the details that go into the construction and insides of this new tire.
A bicycle tire, by definition, is a diagonal tire. The threads go in a 45-degree from bead to bead. On a radial tire, things are different. They don't go in a 45-degree angle. I'm actually not allowed to tell you the angle, but it's a larger angle than that.
Okay.
So, yeah, what it does is you have shorter threads from bead to bead, and when there's like a deformation of the tire, it affects less threads on the tread. And also, there's less tension on every thread, which enables the tire to react much quicker and much softer to all impacts. That's something we definitely want out on the trail. It's so rough out there, so you want a tire that's always able to conform.
That's definitely something that I've been feeling so far, going back to back, the old super gravity carcass and then moving on to this radial one. Same tire pressures, and instantly I'm feeling like the tire is just morphing around the trail. You know, rock edges on the way up, it seems to just suck around and gives you more traction.
See how it goes. It's this little technical bit of climb. Oh man, there's a rock edge there. On the last lap, rear end deflected off of. It's comfortable. Really comfortable.
Who have you designed this for then? Is it for racers? Is it for e-bikers?
Yeah, it is really for everybody. So we think, our take on it is that with the new radial casing, we are really unlocking the full potential of your tire. So we definitely see the potential of it being the predominant technology in the future of mountain bike tires. Not just for the everyday rider, it's also for the racer. I mean, hey, you're fast, so you felt great in it, I guess.
Yeah, don't know about that, but I'll take the compliment where I can get one.
Well, I can certainly tell you, Emery Piron is fast, and
Yes.
he actually won in Valley Solar on a Dirty Dan with the radial technology. So he's
It's not holding him back, at least.
definitely, certainly not, no.
Is there anyone who shouldn't be looking to add radial to their bike?
Yeah, so there's, let's say there's some challenges with the casing. So the first one is, at the same pressure, you have a 30% increased contact patch of the tire, which doesn't, like, if it does sound like a lot. If you see it, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This also means there's more rubber on the ground, and that means more rolling resistance.
Okay.
Not exactly 30%, we're talking 10 to 15%, but that's something to consider.
And that's primarily smoother terrain that you're going to feel that?
Yeah.
'Cause I guess with a more supple carcass, it maybe could roll even faster through rough terrain?
Exactly, yeah. This is all measured on our rolling resistance tester, which is super smooth. I also have to say that this is a drawback that would only be true for traditional tread patterns, but today we've also tested a new tread pattern.
We have.
And with the Albert, we've basically designed the whole tread pattern to work best with the radial casing technology. And yeah, the approach we took was we went for a high surface design, which means large knobs and a lot of them, like a short pitch, a lot of repetitions. And because of the increased contact patch, there are more knobs on the ground all the time, which means more grip, more control, and on top of that, less rolling resistance, because there's less deformation in the casing. It's more support from the knobs.
Okay.
After the first day of riding at the media camp, he messaged me and he said the hype is real.
Consider me impressed. Yeah, really feels like another step up. You know, the Magic Mary Super Gravities that we're so familiar with here have been a great tire for us. I, you know, would happily have stuck a set on any bike and you know, not felt like I was at a disadvantage. But these are another leap for the conditions. You know, hard pack, loose over hard in places, but you know, not too loose. Feels phenomenal, and definitely excited to get some more laps on.
That was a pretty big testament from Robert, who's I think 210 or 220 pounds and riding very rocky terrain in Finale. He's a pretty astute rider and not one that falls for any type of gimmick or new little thing that's out there. In Whistler, I spent almost a full day on a Taki Chan front rear combo, and when I made this swap, it was instantly noticeable. You know, Schwalbe did tell us it takes 2 or 3 laps for the tires and the casing and everything to kind of break in, I guess, stretch, settle, whatever it does. But I noticed by the time I was done with one top to bottom Whistler lap, the tires were broken in, gripping, and ready. And from there on out, it just got better. 4 different riders on these tires on this bike throughout the course of an entire week, and everybody came back saying the same things. They're quieter, they're grippier, they're smoother, and the traction is really impressive. So obviously we don't have the lifespan, we don't have the full real world test, but I'd say a week in Whistler under 4 riders is a pretty good first initial test for us, combined with several days under a heavy shreddy rider in Finale. No punctures, flats, or problems. The tread is still looking pretty sharp. So we would be pretty confident in saying if you guys are looking for a new set of tires, you should swoop a set of these up. But of course, stay tuned for a long-term review where we'll report just how many miles we get out of these things and how they last. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you out on the trails.